Hey everybody, and welcome to an episode of American
Werewolves,
where we talk about all things horror, horror films, horror video games, horror TV series, horror comic books, anything with the horror genre, we talk about it. I am your co-host, Brandon Mercado.
I'm your other co-host person, Jerry Lopez.
And we are here to talk about the recent action horror film, Mandy, starring Nicolas Cage. Now, this one we were pretty excited for, just due to the Rotten Tomatoes score and, Nick Cage, like anything. He's always picked some pretty interesting roles. And it just looked, I haven't seen much of the trailer, but I saw some images online and it looked pretty cool, kind of trippy. But I'm guessing you and I, we both watched this and we did not really expect like what we got.
No. Yeah, I didn't know what the movie was about. I never saw any trailers. I just knew that it got a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes and that Nicolas Cage was in it. And I was excited because, regardless of what a lot of people say, I do think Nicolas Cage is a very talented actor.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's been out of the limelight for a while and he hasn't really done many major blockbusters. I mean, the only blockbusters that I know that he's been in recently are like animated, like Teen Titans Go, and he's going to be in Into the Spider-Verse. But that's about it. And so he's been doing a lot of indie movies lately, and those haven't really gotten the best reviews. So to see him in a movie that was very highly rated, especially by the strictest movie reviewing company out there, I was super excited to see it. And that quickly turned around.
Yeah. Now, off the bat, I think this movie is entertaining by the last half, I would say, for me.
That's tough to say for me.
Yeah, because that first half was pretty slow. Like, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, there were certain scenes that were slow. I mean, like the whole like first hour of this movie drags so much.
Yeah. It's a 2-hour movie, so you're going to sit through an hour that feels like about 2.
Yeah, and it's just oh my god, like there's some shots in the film that, they'll hold on a character's face for what feels like almost a full minute. And they're just kind of staring, like there's not really much going on.
Yeah, the first 10 minutes of the film doesn't really have much dialogue. And I shit you not, like no exaggeration, each of those 10 minutes are just a close-up on the person's face, and it just stays on that close-up for the entire minute, and then the camera slowly pans into the person's face. And that's also just... It happens mainly in the beginning of the film, but you see it again throughout the movie, and that was one of my problems. Like, the camera work for this movie was just not great. It just stood on close-ups the entire time and for way too long, where it was uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was like really uncomfortably long, and it just kind of made like the pacing feel just so off.
Yeah, it was. And for those of you who don't know what the movie is, let me just explain it briefly.
We should probably discuss what the plot of this movie is before we even go more in depth of what we thought about it.
So it takes place in 1984. I will say, though, that it would make a fantastic Halloween Horror Nights house.
Oh, my God. Yeah, definitely.
But it takes place in 1984, I think. And it's Nicolas Cage and his wife, and they live in the middle of the woods, which, off the bat...
That's a red flag right there in any horror movie.
Why would you do that? But they live in the middle of the woods in a cabin that's open. Like, their bedroom doesn't have, like, it has the wall in their bedroom is made of just one big ass window.
Yeah,
so
I thought it was outside until I got a closer look, and I was like, oh, it's just a big window. Like,
yeah. And they're, I'm assuming they're like
real hippies at that point.
Yeah, they're like hippies, and I'm pretty sure they're Satanists. His wife or girlfriend in the film, she wears like heavy metal t-shirts, and they've got like pentagrams on them, and she's reading.
Yeah, I think the actress
She's
name is Andrea Riseborough. I feel like I'm butchering her name.
the only person I knew in the film was Nicolas Cage.
No, she's been in like Oblivion and Birdman. Those are only the few roles I really know her from, but she does a great job in those roles.
Yeah, and she's reading like these like books about demons or whatever, and she's just a really, her hair is like super like frizzy, like how kind of like the 80s were, and like it looked
Yeah.
like they like hippies didn't really look like they showered. Um,
You know,
and
they were just good old rock and rollers, like living a peaceful life in the middle of the woods. You know, they're just doing their own thing.
yeah, and pretty much this cult comes along and they summon demons, and the
Not
demons
just any
come.
demons though, biker demons.
Oh yeah, they're biker demons. They looked like they were. You know what? Here's the thing: is that, and another problem I had with the film was the lighting. The film is super dark, and not dark
Oh,
like.
we'll get to that. Yeah,
We'll
get
get
to
to
that later.
that.
Yeah.
But with the very little that you could see the demons, they looked like they came from Mad Max.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was just really to hide the low budget for this film.
Yeah, most likely. But yeah, biker demons come and they kidnap them, and spoiler alert, they kill his wife or girlfriend, and he is essentially going back for revenge.
It's just this whole movie is essentially like a 80s grindhouse homage to all those older films back in the day.
It's a really bad Taken 3.
I couldn't even compare that. I can't compare that to Taken 3. One, because I haven't seen the movie, because I stopped at 2. And it's just so different. I feel like, this movie almost kind of...
Bad.
I haven't seen it. But this movie kind of felt like it was almost like this could have been Nicolas Cage's John Wick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Stretch, but yeah.
Yeah, like, you get
I get
what
I get what you mean.
Yeah, like guy goes on a quest for revenge after, he's been screwed over. And he does some over the top crazy violence. I haven't seen the second one.
Yeah, neither have I. But yeah, that's what it's about. And
like I was saying before, the first half is slow. It's building up these characters. I wouldn't really say it's really building up much of this world. There's not much really
there
delve
isn't,
into.
and they spend. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was saying, which is kind of like some of my issues with this movie is like I feel like I couldn't really get invested in a lot of not just the characters in this world.
Exactly.
The only one I really cared for was Nicolas Cage's character, I guess, to an extent.
Yeah, not even that much. But yeah, you don't care for any of these characters at all. They spend so much time with them. His girlfriend is in the movie for an hour. But
yeah, and they just
you
doesn't
don't
have much to do. They don't have.
She
much
doesn't
to
really
do.
say much.
Yeah. There's not. Yeah, this movie's very minimal on dialogue, which I'm fine with that in movies. I don't really. Like I'm fine with just straight visual storytelling. But it just, I felt like it didn't really add much. I guess maybe in the beginning, when Nicolas Cage is talking to her, asking what's her favorite planets, and he's just like really like looking at her. He's like so mesmerized by her art, by her views on like what she loves and all that stuff. From there you can really tell he is like deeply in love with this woman and he cares about her a lot. And that's about the most character development you get from him.
And it's not enough to actually care about the couple.
Yeah, maybe a few more scenes with him later on, but we'll delve into that later as we go.
Yeah, because when she actually dies, it's like, oh well.
Yeah, but it's like all right. But I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. The movie starts with them in in their little peaceful house in the middle of the woods. And one day she's walking around outside, and she is spotted by this cult. And the cult leader is mesmerized by her. He wants her like so bad to be like, he wants to be with her so bad, he wants to have her. And they decide to do this plan on kidnapping the both of them and make them both take LSD and listen to his weird music. What was it? I forgot the band's name. But yeah.
I didn't even know there was a band to it.
Yeah, it was like his old band. Like I remember he asked at
Oh,
one point,
okay.
have you listened to the Carpenters? And then he played his own music, and he's like, "Oh, my band's better," or something along those lines.
Oh, is that what he said? Honestly, from her getting kidnapped to that part, that's probably about 30 minutes of the film, and I zoned out. Like, I was so bored.
Yeah, it's weird. This movie is kind of weird because it's like you're either immersed in it with just like, the atmosphere of this film, or you're just kind of like zoning in and out. And
Dude, I think the cult had more screen time than Nicolas Cage did.
yeah, because Nicolas Cage doesn't really do much until like the first hour.
Yeah, like the first hour, I mean, they introduce him and his girlfriend, but then the rest of the hour and a good majority of the film, I don't know about a good majority. The last hour is Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, that's when it turns to his movie.
Yeah, but the first hour is mainly the cult, and it's so boring because it's so weird, and it's just a really weird film. Like, I understand it's a cult and that these people are supposed to be weird, but just the way that they carried themselves and like just how slow the film was, it really didn't help, and you're just uninterested in it wasn't even like a cool, like a movie with because the dialogue is interesting. The dialogue isn't even interesting, man. Like when he's laying on the bed and he's telling the old lady how much he needs her. Not the old lady, he needs Nicolas Cage's girlfriend.
Yeah.
God, that scene bored the living shit out of me, man.
Yeah, it was just the moment he started talking, I was like, I kind of get what the they were going for. It was because like Grindhouse movies back in the day. I know you haven't really seen much of them. You're not a fan of Grindhouse films. I've seen a few, and that's kind of how it is. It's super campy and over the top and just ridiculous. Like it really goes over the top. So with those bits, I didn't mind. And even the weirdness of the movie, I kind of actually enjoyed that because I'll get more to that in like the pros of what I really loved about this film is it's the director's style. Panos Cosmatos, he is very ambitious and very unique. He has a very unique style.
Now I know his name to not watch any more of his films.
I'm actually kind of curious what he does next. Maybe if he just didn't. Maybe if it's just faster paced.
Man, you know what this movie was?
Mm-hmm.
This movie was Sweeney Todd.
No.
This movie, it 100% was the story of Sweeney Todd. The story of Sweeney Todd is there's a guy who has his wife and his kid, and another guy looks at his wife and goes, "Man, she is so beautiful. I want her." So what they do is they kidnap her. And the girl eventually, what you think is, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen Sweeney Todd, he arrests Sweeney Todd, he locks him up, which, again, spoiler alert, they trap Nicolas Cage, they hang him up, and they have him watch them kill his girlfriend. So Sweeney Todd, he escapes and he comes back years later, and he's told that his wife is dead, and essentially he goes on a killing spree to take revenge on the guy who separated him and his wife. And that's exactly the story of this movie.
There you have it, guys. Jerry just discovered that Mandy is a very loose remake of Sweeney Todd.
It's a loose remake. There's no shots in the film
That's exactly what Panos Cosmatos was going for.
Dude, I shit you not, they're the same exact story. The only thing is that Nicolas Cage doesn't have a daughter that he finds later. That's the only different thing in this movie. And he doesn't die in the end. Like, that's it.
Yeah. What was it? But I think that's all I have for really my cons.
I have more cons.
Oh, you have more cons? Well,
I've got more cons. Other than the close-ups, they were too long. The lighting, as I said earlier, the lighting of the film was super dark. It was really dark. Like, there were moments where I couldn't really tell what was going on because of how dark it was. And then there were lighting scenes that were just frustrating. Like, he would go to, like, this dark scene, but at least it had color. And then he would go to another scene and everything was red. It was like the lights in the studio. He put, like, red filters on them. and everything was red, and it was just frustrating. Like the change in lighting, it was so random, and I don't know if he was trying to symbolize something or whatever.
Oh,
It was
I
just
definitely think he was. It may not seem like at the surface, but I actually am somewhat interested in rewatching this film because I feel like there's just a lot more. There's just a lot that I did not catch the first time watching this film, and maybe
yeah,
because it was like
man.
I was super tired when I was watching it,
And it
or
was
I wasn't just expecting what I was getting into, because that's usually how it is with me. It's like if I'm expecting one thing and get another, I'm not as invested until, and then upon rewatch, I'm a little more invested when I know what I'm watching and what's going on.
yeah, man. I was tired watching the film, but it was because I was bored. Um, and yeah, it's super weird. There's shots where it's like it switches to like animated like LSD hallucinations.
Yeah.
And
Which that
that
I
felt
really
so out of place.
I really dug those, honestly. I thought those were pretty cool.
It was so fucking
It
weird.
reminded me
And
of
then
it reminded me of the movie, I believe it's called Heavy Metal, that 80s animated rock metal film.
I don't know what that is. And then we'll get to the ending. Actually, go ahead and go what you were gonna say.
Oh yeah. Well, I just wanted to guess a little bit more of my pros, which were actually some of your cons. With the lighting, I actually really liked the lighting and the trippy effects that they did, especially with Nicolas Cage's wife Mandy was tripping out on LSD. It just felt like you were on acid watching it. And I get why, because you wouldn't like it because it's super slow and dragged out, but just the way the effects were and his speech towards her, it was just very, I don't know, it was pretty effective. I thought that scene was pretty effective. That might be my favorite scene in the entire film.
Man, they could have used the money for those animations and all that other stuff, and they could have spent it on brighter lights and good costumes for the demons.
Well, I mean, he was definitely going for that trippy like light effect. He wanted it to feel. It seemed like he just wanted it to feel just like a big acid trip throughout the whole runtime, which mission accomplished. But I really enjoyed that. Like I said before, Panos Cosmatos, his directing style is very ambitious and unique. It's a familiar story, but it's just the style that makes it so different to me.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's Sweeney Todd. It's just like Sweeney Todd in the 80s and on acid. Oh, and he doesn't, there's no other woman who's in love with him. Like, that's the only other difference as well.
Oh, there's that too. And Nicolas Cage's performance is just great in this film. It's because the movie itself is just so like insane and over the top, and Nicolas Cage usually is insane and over the top in his movies. So I feel like this movie was honestly made specifically for him. Like,
man, he was really good in the film, and it's
Yeah.
a shame that his talents went to this film.
Yeah, I love the scene where he's like in his underwear in the bathroom, just chugging the bottle of vodka, and he's just going insane.
Yeah. So after they kill his girlfriend, they wrapped him. They like hung him up by his wrist in barbed wire. By the way.
Yeah. And him
and
just pulling at that, I felt like his pain as he like kept pulling and yanking. I was like, ugh.
yeah, man, I hated when that happened to me. So he crawls back home.
Nicole in Orlando, right?
He crawls back home, and which this happens in his house too, like right outside his house. So he crawls back to his room, and he just goes to the bathroom and he grabs a bottle of vodka and he just starts screaming and sitting on the toilet. That scene also, I mean, it was good. He was like super believable. It kind of bothered me only because it looked like a movie set there.
Yeah, that's when I feel like at that point that's when I felt like the movie almost felt like a different movie.
Like if you look at the walls in the bathroom, like how they're angled and stuff, like it looks like a movie set.
Yeah, that one set seemed like very different compared to the rest. It also works with the style of this movie because like as you go on, it just gets into stranger sets and territory. And also with Nicolas Cage's performance and just like the over the topness, it just kind of made this last half a lot of fun. especially when he started building that axe slash scythe, whatever that weapon really was.
Yeah,
I'm guessing it was a
so
magical axe, which that is just bonkers in the best way possible.
he goes to his friend or whatever who lives in, which they don't explain
Yeah, I
at
was gonna
fucking
say,
all.
like, I remember.
This dude shows up. They don't explain the relationship between them at all. This dude shows up in the movie for 3 fucking minutes, and Nicolas Cage goes to his trailer, and he knocks on the door, and the guy's like, "What do you want?" And Nicolas Cage opens the door, and he's like, "Oh, it's you. Come on in." Yeah, and he gives Nicolas Cage a crossbow, but like a not automatic crossbow, I guess, as like a semi-auto crossbow. I don't know what you call them, like what Daryl has in The Walking Dead. He's like, "Oh, I have something else that you might want to use," and then he gives him arrows. Was that it?
Yeah, it was arrows.
Yeah, so he was just gonna give him the fucking crossbow without the arrows, and then he's like, "Oh, well, if you're gonna do that, you might need these." What was he gonna do with the crossbow in the first place? Just throw it at people? Like, so then Nicolas Cage goes into his
He was just gonna whack him with it, like the end of it.
Right, like he was just like Jonah Hill at the end of 21 Jump Street, where he just throws the gun at the guy. And he goes into his little workshop where I shit you not, is a fucking blacksmith.
Yeah.
Where this comes from, I don't know. He is literally like melting metal, and he turns into a straight up, like, you know those like really satisfying blacksmith videos you watch online where people are building like homemade knives and rings and whatever? He somehow, don't explain it at all, he's got this in his house, and this is what he does. He builds a really weird looking axe, and then the axe glows like it's got some spell on it.
Yeah. What I loved about it also was, like, he was building it, like, with a cigarette in his mouth, like he was, like, just repairing a bike at a bike shop. He was just like,
Yeah, it took him, like, you know, you have to think, you know, movie cuts, they're not gonna, you know, show him building an axe for the entire time it took him.
It may feel like it does with this movie, but they're not gonna show it.
But just the time, because this all happens in the same night. It takes him to build this axe 15 minutes, I would have to say. Not like, it's not a 15-minute scene, but just the time that he starts building it and the time after, it seems like it's about 15 minutes. I don't know what molten like metal he's got that cools that fast, but oh my god, he builds that shit really fucking fast. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they were just like skipping ahead, and they were like, "Yeah, we already know this movie's kind of slow. We're just gonna get to it as quick as we can."
If that's what they were thinking,
yeah.
They should.
Also, this movie is just like, you know, it is not based in reality, so a lot of the stuff that doesn't make sense, it's just kind of like, oh, okay. At that point, I was just kind of going with it. For me, I was just really just going with whatever this movie was doing, which is why I liked it, because like I just sat back and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna have fun with Nicolas Cage going, you know, crazy on these demons and this cult.
That's my thing, man. Like we said in the last episode, dude, like the form of realism in something in films is what can kind of make films great. If there was just a little bit form of realism, I probably would have enjoyed it more. There is nothing.
If there was a form of realism, this movie probably just, I don't know, like, then I feel like it just still wouldn't have worked. I feel like it would have felt really off if it just suddenly became that. Because this movie is a straight up fantasy. It's almost like a weird, twisted, fucked up fairy tale where, you know, it's this peaceful, especially with the stories that the wife is like telling in the beginning and all that. And, like,
yeah, also, that fucking scene in the beginning of the movie, she tells him about how her dad caught like these birds in a tree, and then because they were eating his cherries, because her dad he had a fucking cherry tree. I don't know, he was a farmer, whatever, and he takes the baby birds in a bag, and he dumps the bag of baby birds in front of the children. He dumps the birds out in front of the children, and he's like with a crowbar, and he's like, "Here, I'm gonna show you how to kill them." And each of the kids take turns whacking the birds, and then she, as a child, runs away. And she's telling him the story. And it's so out of nowhere. The story is super random. It has nothing to do with anything later.
I feel like it might somehow, like, just be a foreshadowing or metaphor of what happens later on in the film.
Literally nothing happens later on that would
Well, no, not straight up, like, straight up in your face. I feel like it's more subtle, but I would have to rewatch the movie to really understand. There are a few things I caught later on, but I'll get to those later, because this movie's littered with, little Easter eggs or just foreshadowing and metaphors like spread throughout.
Okay, I would love to hear what they are.
Because if I figure that out, I'll let you know. But if not, I'll let you have that one where I'm like, yeah, that didn't make any sense. I guess maybe the most it was just character development for her. After, Nick Cage, I forgot, what's his character's name? I think his character's name is Red.
Red.
Yeah, it's Red Miller. He manages to take down one of the demons.
Wait, isn't that like cornmeal or something?
It's something. I forgot what it was. I know it's an homage to something else out there, but I can't think of it. So Red, he ends up driving around, and he spots one of the biker demons, and he ends up taking it out, but he also gets caught in the process because his car flips, I believe, right?
Oh, it's Bob's Red Mill, which is a food company. I think they make like rice and stuff. Yeah,
I highly doubt that's what the rice is for.
Yeah, that's what they named him after.
Panos was like, I just really like their food.
I just really fucking like rice.
Like, you sure you don't want anything else with it? No, just rice.
No, man, I just load this shit up with rice. Fuck Uncle Ben. Have you ever had Have you ever had Bob's Red Mill? Oh god. Okay, what? He was in the forest. What happened?
He like tracked down the demon biker, and he ended up running.
Oh, yeah. He winds up tracking the bikers. I don't know how he fucking finds them in the middle of the forest, but he finds them. And
I think he was like on his way there to their like spot.
But how? Where does he find this info?
I forgot. I feel like they explained it at the end, but
Man,
I don't remember.
They don't explain shit at the end. I can promise you that. I like the guy that he gets the crossbow from explains like who the demons are, he explains who the cult is, and that's about it. Like, he's like, oh man, you better be careful, because if you're going after them, you're not going to come out alive. And Nicolas Cage is like, watch me. But they don't explain where he finds them. So yeah, but he finds them, and he starts picking them off. And his car gets flipped over because I think he runs over one.
He just finds the one and runs it over, and then it flips. I forgot how, but it just flips, and he is knocked unconscious.
It's literally nothing.
He's just knocked unconscious right after that.
There's nothing that flips that car over. Like nothing. That was a strong ass fucking demon.
Yeah, it's a demon. Who knows?
No, but they're not that strong, because if they were, he would not have made it through this movie. Because he takes them out. So yeah, and then he goes into like this warehouse after.
Yeah, he's locked up in.
Oh yeah, they capture him after. Yeah, and he escapes that somehow. I don't remember.
He ends up like getting a loose pipe where his the handcuffs are attached to, and he ends up using it to knock down the demon and make it fall through this random pit that's like right next to him.
Yeah, there's a fucking pit there. I don't know if that's where they crawled out of because they're demons or like what. Like, I don't know what this pit was and why it was literally like 3/4 of the room.
No.
How did they get there? Yeah, he like knocks the demon into the hole, and then he gets out of the handcuffs. How? Who knows? He gets out of them.
Just somehow he just does. But he's Nick Cage. He can get out of anything.
It's gonna get real hard. It's gonna be real hard for him to get out of those handcuffs. Actually, super easy. Barely an inconvenience. If you guys haven't seen Screen Rant's movie pitch ideas, please watch them. They're hysterical. Yeah, and then he goes into the demons are fucking watching TV.
No, they're not just watching. This demon is not just watching TV. He's watching straight up porn.
He's watching porn. This demon is watching porn.
And he's doing blow.
So Nicolas Cage takes out, I think it's like 2 of them. I think he takes out 2 demons. And then
he takes out the one that ends up spotting him. And, that first kill is awesome, by the way, where like he just like stabs it in the throat and then it's just gushing blood all over his face. I thought that was cool. And then I forgot how the other one popped up. I think he just kind of walked in. And
he just walked up behind him and hit him in the head with the axe.
The demon?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it. The demon was sitting there
Hit
watching
red
TV.
with the axe.
No. The demon was sitting there watching TV, and Nicolas Cage came up and hit the demon in the head with the axe.
Yeah, no, he tried to, but the demon spotted him through the reflection of the TV, and then there was a little fight,
of course.
and that's when Nick Cage stabbed him in the neck, and the blood started gushing all over his face. And then the second one comes in. I don't remember exactly how, but he ends
I
up
thought
taking...
he killed one. I thought he killed one before that one.
He did kill one, and then he killed the other one.
No, but the second one, because there were two in the room. I thought one was like in the kitchen or something, like making waffles or whatever.
No, one came in right after that kill.
One was in the kitchen making Bob's Red Mill's rice. He took him out. And his whole thing is a commercial for rice.
Please sponsor us, Red Mill.
Oh wait, hold on. Bob's Red Mill doesn't even make rice.
What the hell?
Yes, they do. Yes,
Okay.
they do. I'm sorry. Yes, they do. They make like stuff with grains, so like rice and oats and flour and stuff. So, yeah, man. He takes that one out, and then he
takes the demons out. He ends up doing some of the cocaine before he leaves.
Yeah, he
Which,
does a
you
fucking
know,
line of cocaine.
Yeah, which...
Really? You're fucking out here killing a bunch of demons, and the first thought in your head is, you know what, let me dull my senses even more after I drank this whole fucking bottle of tequila or whiskey or whatever, vodka, whatever the fuck it was.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I don't even remember.
It's not even just that, though. He ends up finding that bottle of LSD on the counter, and he just dips his finger in there, the little tip of his finger, and, gets a little taste, and that's like where his mind is just completely fucked after that. Like, he is just tripping balls throughout the rest of the movie.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, that was LSD. That was the same stuff they used on his wife's eye, Mandy's eyes, when they had her tripping out on LSD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I knew they gave her that. So I don't even remember the scene. Oh, there's a demon like sitting there like watching a car on fire.
Yeah, he's just having a little bonfire.
Yeah, he's roasting. He's roasting
some Ben's rice.
Yeah, he's cooking Ben's Red Mill rice, or Bob's Red Mill's rice,
Ben's.
over this fire.
And Nick Cage like just shoots an arrow, and I don't know if it hits him, I don't remember I think I saw it hit the demon, but he was just like not phased by it, or Nick Cage missed. I don't remember.
It's this whole like choreographed fight scene, and Nicolas Cage winds up just kicking the demon into the fire. I think that's it for the demons. I think he picks them all off there.
Yeah, I think he just killed them all.
And that's the thing I have with the ending of this movie. The last like 40 minutes of this film, there's no dialogue until the very end, and every scene is him just killing somebody different, and it's so boring.
I didn't find that boring at all. I thought that was awesome. That's when the movie was actually entertaining for me. It was just like nonstop mayhem.
But to me, every single scene was the same. It was just him just picking off people, and it's not like it's not like Taken picking off people, it's not like Liam Neeson going in and just like fucking shit up. It's him just walking around with this goddamn axe and be like, hey you, and the guy turns around, he's like, huh, and he's like, ugh, and he like stabs the guy, and like that's it.
Yeah, man, these people kill his fucking love of his life. I would just do the same thing, no questions
yeah
asked.
Man,
like,
but it's not interesting. Like the fight scenes weren't even that good.
Are you telling me that chainsaw fight, like, which comes up like right after like that demon thing?
Oh
like,
my
you're
god!
telling me that wasn't fun?
About that. I fucking forgot about that fight. So he goes to fight this dude with a chainsaw, and dude,
he's got like a short chainsaw, and this guy's got like a super long one.
Yeah, this guy pulls out a chainsaw from behind whatever it was. I don't remember what it was. It was probably like a flipped over car or something. He pulls out this chainsaw, and the arm of this chainsaw is probably like 2 arm lengths. Like 2 arms length. And they start, and the look on Nicolas Cage is like, oh shit. And I'm like, where the fuck did you buy this chainsaw? Because I know for a fact they don't sell that at Home Depot. So they have this I would love to say huge chainsaw fight, but it's not. They knock the chainsaws out of each other's hand. And
I forgot how, but I just remember how the guy died, which was pretty cool.
yeah, Nicolas Cage for a second was like, "Hey, can I really do this? Like, it would really mean a lot to me if you let me do this." So they let him be Johnny Blaze for a second. They let him be Ghost Rider, and he picks up a chain, and he swings it around, and he pulls the dude forward, and the dude falls on the chainsaw.
Yeah, and it's just gruesome, and I loved it. Oh, I forgot. We forgot to mention the chemist, the scene with the chemist and the tiger.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which that was a scene I actually really dug because that was I don't know, I thought that was cool because like you just see this chemist, he's just making LSD, and he turns around and he sees Nicolas Cage's character just staring him down, and he's like, I found this scene interesting because this chemist was actually, I think, one of the most interesting characters that had to do with like this cult, because he was like, he seemed more empathetic towards Red, and like he seemed like he wanted to actually help him out.
I guess. Like, yeah, he did seem like he was like, "Oh man, like they did you wrong."
Yeah.
Like those are literally his lines. They did you wrong.
Yeah, and like you just from that look in his face, and like you can just tell like he feels sorry for him and he wants to help him.
But at the end of the day,
I thought it was going to turn into a weird fight.
At the end of the day, you can still see that this dude is fucking crazy. So then throughout the film, with the cult that you will get to know very well, this old lady, the cult leader, his name is Jeremiah Sand.
Something like that.
I'm
so sorry, dude. I forgot to mention like one more thing that I wanted to talk about was that tiger in that scene with the chemist in him.
Mm-hmm.
How the tiger literally just gets out of the cage and just like walks off.
Oh yeah, there's a tiger in a cage for some fucking reason. Where they got the tiger, I don't know. They're a cult. They can get whatever they want.
Yeah.
And the guy is like, "Oh, go ahead, let the tiger out." Nicolas Cage lets the tiger out, and the tiger he's just like, "Oh, thanks," and he walks away.
But like that was another one where it might be also thinking way too deep into this, but I feel like I'm not, because there's a lot of alludes to like, maybe Nicolas Cage's spirit animal being a tiger because of his like the shirt he wears in the beginning of the movie has a tiger on it. And I don't know if you watched after the credits, but after the credits you see one of Mandy's drawings on the table, and it shows that she drew Red's face and then a giant tiger face like above his, almost like he's like transforming to a tiger. So that had to have been like some little foreshadowing or metaphor for the tiger Nick Cage finally being let out of the cage and just like letting loose on rampage on this cult and demons for doing him wrong.
Okay, one that if he let the tiger out after he killed everybody, fine, I could give you that. But he's not even like, he's like just through half of everybody. Letting that tiger go makes no fucking sense.
I don't know, man. Dude's tripping balls. We know the tiger wasn't even actually there.
Right. So this old lady she's obsessed with this cult leader, like really like weirdly obsessed. And she starts talking about like lovers, like she was his lover or whatever. What did she say?
She was his favorite lover.
Okay.
Yeah, like because she was so sensitive and sensual, and that made like the sex way better, or something along those lines.
Yeah, they throw this out, but the whole fucking movie, he like hates this old lady, like the cult leader. He
just treats her like crap. Her mind is like pretty damn warped. I'm assuming at this point, she's just gone. She's gone to the deep end with this whole group.
So he kills us. She's on him. I don't even know what she's saying to Nicolas Cage, but the only thing that I like about this scene is that the entire scene, Nicolas Cage is staring at this woman as she's talking to him, and he literally looks like, "What the fuck are you talking about right now?"
Yeah.
And
he's like, "Damn, this is some strong acid."
Yeah, and he walks into
the chamber.
He walks into this chamber where the cult leader is, and this part pissed me off because the lighting keeps flashing. The screen goes black, and then it'll flash that red tint that I was talking about earlier, and then it'll go black and flash the red tint, and you can't see anything that's going on because it's like this really slow strobe light, and I'm like, what? I want to see what happens here. What's going on? And I can't fucking see anything because the dude didn't pay his fucking light bill. And Nicolas Cage throws the head of the old lady at the guy, and the dude turns around and he's like, oh shit. And Nicolas Cage comes up to him, and the guy's like, you can't hurt me. And Nicolas Cage walks up to the dude, and he's like, oh shit, no, please don't hurt me.
Dude, I was laughing so hard at that scene. It was
literally
great.
He was like, yeah, I'm unhurtable, I'm invincible, blah blah blah. And Nicolas Cage he pushes the guy on the floor.
He takes one step forward, and he's like, please, I'll suck your dick.
Yeah, the guy's like, whoa, calm the fuck down. Like, I was just kidding. Like, you know, hey dude, it was just a prank. And
I just thought it was so odd. He was literally on his knees begging, saying, "I'll suck your dick. Do you want that?
Yeah,
you want
he
that,
offers.
man?" Like,
he offers to blow Nicolas Cage, and I was like, do you really think that's what this dude wants right now?
Yeah.
You just killed his fucking girlfriend, and you think he wants to be blown by you? Like, that's on a what? And so Nicolas Cage grabs the dude's head, and this scene was so not disturbing because it was gross. It was just super uncomfortable. He grabs the dude's head, and he just squeezes. And he just squeezes harder and harder. And at one point, Nicolas Cage's voice is warped like he's a demon. And I'm like, what the actual fuck is going on? And he crushes the guy's head, and his eyeballs fall out, and like guts are like coming out of the dude's mouth. I don't know why squeezing his head made his guts come out from his stomach into his mouth or out of his mouth. And it could have just been a lot of like really thick blood, but it was like, and that's not the part that was gross. The part that was gross was after Nicolas Cage crushes his skull, he's got this really like weird face the entire time. And then he just lets out this moan after crushing the guy's skull like he just finished fucking. And I'm like, what in God's name did I just watch? So after that, he literally just walks away. He gets into his car, or a car, because his car was flipped over. I don't know where the fuck he gets his car, but he gets into a car. And it's not
one of the Colts.
Okay, the cult the whole movie drives this white van, like this RV thing. That's not the car he's driving at the end of the movie. I don't know where he gets this car from. And he looks over and he sees his girlfriend's like ghost or whatever in like the passenger seat, and then they drive off. And that's Mandy for you. I don't.
So clearly Jerry loved this movie. But yeah, that is essentially the movie, Mandy. I love Nick Cage's face at the end, like that creepy ass smile he just gives Mandy's ghost. Like, I thought that was just great. And also, I think my favorite line throughout the entire film, this one just stuck out because it made me laugh really hard, was when the demon like hits him in the chest and he's like, "You just ripped my favorite shirt."
Funny that was his favorite shirt, but the only shirt he wears in the beginning of the fucking movie is the tiger shirt.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, but this 44 shirt that he finds on the floor randomly is his favorite shirt. Yeah, that's Mandy. You don't have to see it because we just told you the film. I think that's what this movie is going to be. This podcast is literally just going to be us just talking about films and giving you the description, so you don't have to watch them.
Yeah. Or if you have watched it, you would just like to hear our thoughts of us either praising a movie or ripping it to shreds.
With horror these days, most likely it's going to be ripping it to shreds.
I don't know. With a lot of horrors lately, I've been like just more lenient. A lot of them, I just kind of like sit back and just, I go with it, because with horror movies, I just try not to take too seriously. Some of them, I just get immersed in the experience, and others, like this movie, it's like I really did. I thought this movie was really, unique and different, and I praise it for that because it's not trying to be like a lot of movies out there, but it just didn't really work for me as much as I wanted it to. Which, if you are invested in it, that's perfectly fine. We just were not.
Yeah, man. Like, this film, it got a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, but the the audience score gave it a 71%, which isn't awful.
Yeah, that's a little higher than what I would give this film.
I would, if we were going, like, to percentage-wise, like, full, like, 100%, I would have given this film maybe, like, a I would have given this film like a 50 something, like a mid 50, like 55, 56 if I want to be nice.
I'm a little more generous. I enjoyed parts of it more than you did, so I would say, I guess, a 60. 60, yeah, I would say 60. 60 is like my number. Clearly.
Oh man, yeah, that was
But yeah, those are our thoughts on Mandy.
Don't see it. Or do if you want to see.
And then tell us like what you thought about it. If you loved it and you want to just give us shit because we don't know what we're talking about, or you were like us and you were like, yeah, this movie's very overrated and just not that great. I guess that'll be it for this episode. I give it a 60. Jerry gives it a 55. Let us know what you think. As for what's coming up, you and I are going to Halloween Horror Nights with some friends this weekend, so we're gonna have a episode on that. Our thoughts on it. I know you've gone a few times already, since you live like so close, and
yeah.
But you and I will be both talking about what we liked and what we what was awesome about it, what didn't work, what worked.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and we're also going to be checking out Hellfest, which is coming out this weekend.
Hopefully that one is way better than this one is.
I think that one will definitely be a lot more fun.
Yeah,
than this movie.
The trailer looks really good.
Yeah, but we'll see how that turns out. And also Netflix is going to be releasing a few horror movies. There's actually one coming out this weekend as well that I'm looking forward to because of the director's track record. The film is called Hold the Dark. It's directed by Jeremy Saulnier. He did the movie Green Room, and he did the movie Murder Party and Blue Ruin. Green Room's one of my favorite horror films out there of like the last few years. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Skarsgård, isn't it?
And Jeremy Wright from Westworld, also the actor that everyone says I look very alike with. I guess that's
I can slightly see it.
Yeah, I actually have a pop toy of him in my room, and everyone like always, whoever comes in and they see it, they're like, "How'd you get a pop toy of yourself?" I'm like, "I did it."
What was he in?
He was in Casino Royale.
I've never seen that. His face looks super familiar. Oh, he was in Catching Fire. He was like the inventor, smart dude.
He was that dude.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know who he is.
But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. Once again, I'm your co-host Brandon Mercado.
I'm Jerry Lopez.
And this has been
American Werewolves.